John comes home from work. He is tired, but notices that Emily has been acting strange lately. He decides to share his suspicions with Uncle Michael, who has always been like a second father to him. "Hey, Uncle Michael, I have something I'd like to talk to you about." Michael, interested. "Hi, John. Sure. What's up?" "I think Emily's hiding something from me. She's been acting weird lately, always leaving without saying where. I don't know what to think. I understand. Come to my place and we'll talk about it." John goes to Uncle Michael's house to discuss his suspicions. John is walking down a quiet street, immersed in his thoughts. The sky is colored in the warm hues of sunset, but John doesn't notice the beauty around him. How could she? We were so close. We shared everything. Why did she suddenly become so cold and aloof? I remember how she used to smile at me, how we used to laugh together. It's all changed. I don't want to think the worst, but these messages. We were always honest with each other. I thought I knew her heart. But now it feels like I don't know her at all. Maybe it's my own fault. Maybe I've been paying less attention to her. But that doesn't justify cheating. If she really is cheating on me, what am I supposed to do? John pauses for a moment, looking at the sunset, trying to find answers to his questions. John, to himself. Michael has always been there for me when I needed support. He'll help me figure things out. But what if the truth turns out to be too painful? Will I be able to forgive her? Or will it be the end of everything we've built together? With these thoughts, John continues on his way to Uncle Michael's house, feeling a growing heaviness in his chest. "Sit down, John. Tell me everything. Emily has become very secretive. She often says she goes off to meet her friends, but I'm not sure that's true. I found some strange messages on her cell phone. Show me those messages." John shows his uncle the messages he found on Emily's phone. They're not just friendly messages. It looks like there's something serious going on here. "Do you want to know the truth?" "Yes, I do. But how?" "Leave it to me. I'll help you figure it out." "Sit down, John. Tell me everything. Emily has become very secretive. She often says she goes off to meet her friends, but I'm not sure that's true. I found some strange messages on her cell phone. Show me those messages." John shows his uncle the messages he found on Emily's phone. Michael reads them, frowning his eyebrows. These aren't just friendly messages. It sounds like there's something serious going on here. "Do you want to know the truth?" "Yes, I do." "But how?" "Leave it to me. I'll help you figure it out." Michael makes a few calls, arranging for a private investigator to follow up with Emily. John watches, feeling a mixture of anxiety and hope. Are you sure this is the right way? Maybe I'm just too suspicious? No, John. You don't have to remain in the dark. If she's really cheating on you, you need to know about it. Better the bitter truth than the sweet lie. John nods, realizing the rightness of Michael's words. I just can't believe it could all fall apart like this. I thought we were happy. Life sometimes gives us unpleasant surprises, but it's how we deal with them that matters. You're strong, John. You'll get through this. Michael puts his hand on John's shoulder, conveying his confidence to him. We'll start by finding out the truth, and then we'll decide what to do next. Regardless of the outcome, you're not alone. I'm with you. John is relieved at his uncle's support and prepares for the next step on the road to uncovering the truth. Thank you, Uncle Michael. You've always been a pillar of support for me. I don't know what I would do without you. We're a family, John, and a family should always stick together, especially in hard times. Michael and John enter the office of a private detective, Mr. Smith. The detective greets them and offers them a seat. Hello, Michael. John, have a seat. I'm already aware of your situation. What can I do for you? We need to find out if Emily is cheating on John. We want to be sure of that. I understand. I'll get on the case. Give me her photo, schedule, and any details that might be helpful. John pulls out Emily's photo and hands it to Mr. Smith, along with the schedule. Here's her photo and a rough schedule. She often says she goes off to meet her friends or work late. Great. Cell phone rings. I'll begin surveillance immediately. You'll get a report as soon as I have any results. Michael and John thank the detective and leave the office. John is still anxious, but feels some relief that something is being done. John sits at home, checking his phone every few minutes, waiting for news from the detective. Time drags slowly. He thinks back to happy moments with Emily, when suddenly the phone rings. Emily's name pops up on the screen. Emily? Emily? John, I know you suspect me. None of this is true, believe me. I heard you contacted a detective. Please come to my mom's house and we'll talk it over. John hesitates, mulling over her words. He feels a mixture of disbelief and hope. Emily, I don't know what to think, but I'm going to come over. We really need to talk. Thank you, John. I'll meet you at your mom's. We'll work it out. John hangs up the phone and sighs deeply, trying to gather his thoughts. He dials Michael's number. Uncle Michael, Emily called. She wants me to come over to her mom's house to talk things over. I'm on my way there. Be careful, John. Don't believe everything you hear. Wait for the detective's report before you make a decision. I know. But I have to hear her out. Maybe I'm missing something. Michael sighs, realizing his nephew's determination. Okay. Stay in touch and don't jump to conclusions. Sure thing, Uncle. Thanks for everything. John hangs up the phone and takes the car keys. He leaves the house, gets in the car, and heads to Emily's mother's house, mentally preparing himself for the conversation. The scene ends as his car pulls away from the house. John pulls up to Emily's mother's house, parks the car, and gets out of it, nervous. He walks to the door and rings the bell. After a few seconds, the door is opened by Emily's mother, Mrs. Hartman. John, come in, darling. We've been waiting for you. John enters the house where he is greeted by Emily. She looks worried but tries to remain calm. Hello, John. Thanks for coming over. We need to talk. Well, I'm here. Let's talk. Mrs. Hartman offers to sit at the table where there is tea and cookies. John, Emily, and Mrs. Hartman sit down. John, I know you think I'm cheating on you, but I'm not. It's all a misunderstanding. I just work a lot and I've had a lot of meetings. Emily's right, John. You've always been a good husband, but you have to trust her. She would never cheat on you. Is that what you want me to believe? I've hired a detective, and I'll have proof soon. I don't believe you. John, please. We can work this out. Let's start fresh. No, Emily. You've lost my trust. I can't live with that. John's getting up and heading for the exit. John, wait. Think about the future, about your family. I've already thought about it. I can't stay with a man who betrayed me. Goodbye. John walks out of the house, leaving Emily and her mother at a loss. He gets in his car and drives away, determined to end this relationship. The scene ends as his car disappears from sight, and Emily and Mrs. Hartman are left at the door in utter despair. John pulls up to the bar and parks the car. He gets out of the car, feeling heavy on his soul, and heads inside. The bar is dimly lit and quiet music is playing. John sits down at the bar, and the bartender approaches him. What can I get you? Whiskey, please. Double. The bartender nods and pours the whiskey. John takes the glass and takes a big gulp, feeling the hot liquid flow down his throat. How did all this happen? How did I end up in this situation? He thinks back to happy times with Emily, their wedding, traveling, and moments of joy. But mixed in with these memories are bitter thoughts of betrayal. I trusted her, loved her. How could she do this to me? He takes another sip and notices his old friend Mark sitting next to him. John? What are you doing here? You look like someone in urgent need of support. Mark, you have no idea. Everything's fallen apart. Emily. She cheated on me. I just went to her mother's house and they tried to convince me it wasn't true. Damn it, man. I don't even know what to say. Mark, sympathetically. That's terrible. John nods, emptying his glass and showing the bartender to pour another. I don't know what to do next. My life has been turned upside down. Listen, John. You're strong. You'll get through this. Maybe you should take a vacation. Go somewhere. Take your mind off everything. Maybe. But first I have to wait for the detective's report. I need to know the truth before the end. They continue to drink and talk, discussing possible plans and ways out of the situation. John feels a little better, knowing that he has friends willing to support him in his time of need. The scene ends with John and Mark continuing to talk, and the bar gradually filling up with evening customers. After a long conversation and several glasses of whiskey, John returns home and goes to bed, but sleep doesn't come. Thoughts of Emily's betrayal and injustice swarm in his head. Suddenly, he comes up with an idea that he thinks will help him release the pain and anger he has accumulated. John gets out of bed, gets dressed, and leaves the house. He gets in his car and heads to the house where Emily now lives. Once there, he parks the car nearby and starts looking for rocks. As he approaches the house, he sees dark windows. John picks up the first rock and throws it at one of the windows, yelling, "Emily! I know you're in there! You've ruined everything we had!" A rock shatters the glass, and he picks up another one and throws it at another window. Even louder. "You betrayed me, Emily! How could you?" He continues throwing rocks, screaming louder and louder each time. "I trusted you, I loved you, and you ruined everything for your lies." The lights in the house come on and the door opens. Emily appears on the doorstep, frightened and shocked. "John, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind?" Shouting back. "You're the one who's gone crazy, Emily. You cheated on me. You ruined our family." Emily tries to calm him down, softer. "John, please stop. Let's talk about this. You don't have to ruin anything." But John doesn't stop. He keeps throwing rocks, letting out all his anger and pain. With despair. "I can't live like this anymore. You've destroyed everything that was dear to me." At this point, neighbors appear on the street and begin to gather as they watch what is happening. Some of them call the police. John, seeing that Emily is not going to come out to him, stops throwing rocks and falls to his knees, devastated and broken. Quietly. "Why, Emily? Why did you do this to me?" The police pull up and the officers get out of the car. They pick John up and take him away while Emily is left standing outside the house, looking at the shattered windows and thinking about what just happened. After the incident with John, Emily, all anxious and confused, walks back into the house. She sits down on the couch, wrapping her arms around her head, and then pulls out her cell phone. With a heavy heart, she dials the number of her lover, Jason. The phone rings several times before he answers, cheerfully. "Hi, Emily. How are you?" in a shaky voice. "Jason, I need your help. John just made a scene outside my house. He broke windows and yelled at me. I don't know what to do." Worried. "What? Are you okay? Did he hurt you?" Quietly. "No, he didn't hurt me. But I'm afraid he might come back. I need you to come. I need your support." On the other end of the line, Jason is silent for a while, comprehending the situation. Determined. "I'm coming right now. Hang in there, Emily. I'll be at your place in a few minutes." Relieved. "Thank you, Jason. I'm waiting for you." Emily ends the call and wraps her arms around herself, trying to calm down. She goes to the kitchen, pours herself a glass of water, and takes a few deep breaths. After a while, there's a knock on the door. Emily goes to the door and opens it. Jason is standing in front of her, excited and concerned. Entering the house. "Emily, it's going to be okay. I'm here for you." He wraps his arms around her and she snuggles up to him, feeling his warmth and support. Together they walk to the living room where they sit down on the couch. Jason takes her hand. "Tell me everything that happened," with tears. "John was so furious. He was yelling at me, saying horrible things. I didn't know he was that angry. I was afraid he was going to do something." Jason wipes the tears from her face and hugs her tighter. We'll get through this together. I'll always be there for you. Emily, feeling a little calmer, snuggles up to Jason and closes her eyes, finding comfort in his arms. After a soothing conversation with Emily, Jason realizes that the situation calls for drastic measures. He quietly gets up from the couch so as not to disturb Emily and goes outside for a more private conversation. He pulls out his cell phone and dials the number of his friend who works for the police department. Hey, Jack, it's Jason. I need your help. Hey, Jason. What's up? I'm having a problem with this guy. He's threatening my girlfriend. I want you and your guys to give him a little scare. Nothing serious, just to make him realize he's not to be messed with. And tell him I said hi. On the other end of the line, Jack is silent for a while, pondering the request. Are you sure about this, Jason? It could have serious consequences. Yes, I'm sure. He's threatening Emily, and I can't let him continue this. Will you help? Jack sighs, realizing the difficulty of the situation, but agrees nonetheless. John comes home late at night after a long day. He parks the car and heads for the door. At that moment, several tough guys appear out of the darkness and quickly surround him. John, hey you, it's John, right? Yeah, it's me. What do you guys want? The guys start to move closer, cornering him. We got a message for you from Jason. One of the thugs pulls out a club and the other grabs a baseball bat. They begin beating John without giving him a chance to fight back. John falls to the ground, trying to cover himself with his arms. That's for hitting on his girlfriend. Get off of her, you understand? They continue throwing punches until John loses consciousness. The thugs then leave him in the street and walk away, leaving him lying in a helpless state. John wakes up scene location, the street outside John's house. Morning, John wakes up on the cold ground, feeling pain all over his body. He slowly gets up and staggers to the house. He realizes that the situation is out of control and that he needs to be more careful. John is back in town to look into his wife Emily's infidelity. He had been observing strange changes in her behavior for weeks. Frequent phone calls, unexpected antics. All indications were that she was seeing someone else. After hearing from his Uncle Michael about Emily's suspicious meetings with a certain Mark, he decided to take action. John found out that Mark worked at a local cafe and went there to observe him. He sat at a table in the corner, lurking in the shadows. When Mark came out for a break, John walked up to him and said, "Hi, Mark. We have something to talk about." Mark looked at John, dumbfounded. "Mark, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't act like you don't understand. I know about you and Emily. I want to hear the truth." Mark looked at John in silence, then sighed. John, we're dating. But it's not what you think. Emily said your marriage has been on the rocks for a long time. John listened, trying to contain his anger and frustration. You don't need to tell me what problems we're having in our marriage. That's no excuse for cheating. Mark nodded silently, realizing that John was right. I can only apologize. I didn't mean to. That's enough. Mark, I know what to do. He turned and walked out of the cafe. His heart was torn apart. He realized that his marriage to Emily was over. John was determined to start a new life, free from lies and betrayal. John decided to leave the city to temporarily get away from his problems and reevaluate his life. He traveled to a small coastal town on the coast. There, amidst the tranquility of the sea and solitude, he found time for reflection. After spending a few days in silence, John realized that he needed to move on. He made the decision to start a new chapter in his life. John began to engage in self-development, reclaiming his lost interests and strengthening personal bonds with friends and family. He began exercising, socializing more often with loved ones, and working on his career. John realized that forgiveness and letting go of resentment was the first step to a happy and fulfilling life. Translated with deepl.com, free version.